Hi everyone, Code Queen Nayeli again. Have you ever wanted to make a website with a member login so that way your members can log in to this beautiful website and the first page that they see is their own member dashboard? It could be anything. It could be videos that you want them to see. Maybe it's free, maybe it's paid. Hint, hint. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's their profile information. Maybe it's a place where they can write down notes and things to do and organize themselves. Maybe you have some type of fitness program and you want to give them updates regularly on their progress, on their health, on their exercise routines, anything. Imagine your customer going to your website, clicking on a single button, logging in, and the first thing they see is their information. Maybe part of the information they can edit and control. Maybe the other part you add in there from the back end. Maybe you have somebody that does it for you. Am I giving you good ideas? I hope I am. If you're interested in knowing how this is actually possible on Wix, then you need to watch this video. If you're subscribed to the Wix community channel, then you've already seen it. That's why you have to subscribe to both channels. You never know where I'm going to post the videos or which one it's going to post to first. So I hope I have your attention now, and let me know what you think. You don't have to tell me the ideas or the website that you built. Just let me know what you think. If there's any requests, don't forget to comment it below. If you like the video, don't forget to say thank you. Comment below. Give it a thumbs up. And subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Make sure to share it with somebody you know. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you appreciate the time that I take randomly throughout the day to sit and record these videos for you, because that's what they're for you. Enjoy. Hi, Code Queen Nayeli. So you're here for another video. If you don't know who I am, I'm a Wix design expert. I am featured in the Wix Arena. I am a Wix ambassador. For this tutorial, I'm going to be using an old Wix ambassador landing page that I had created for my community. So I'll be using that as a tutorial site to show you how to create a member profile custom login page. What it'll do is basically it'll have a login button. Once the person clicks on it, this code will determine if that person is already in your database or if they're brand new. So therefore, it'll either prompt them to sign up or just allow them to log in. After they log in, another button will become visible, which will be the My Profile button. When they click on this button, they'll be redirected to another page where they will be able to create a brand new profile or update an existing one that they already have. And it'll go to a dynamic page where it'll display only their information or only allow them to create information under their account name. So let's get started. All you need to do is get any page. On this page, I'm going to follow exactly the steps that are shown in a Wix article. I will add the link in the video description so you can follow that article if you choose to. And so what the article says is basically to have two basic buttons. So I've already added the two buttons. Now my two buttons, I've labeled one as login and one as profile. For those of you that have not used the Wix editor before, where you get those buttons will be from this side. You'll click on the little add. Let me hide this. You'll click on the little add, the little plus sign, and then you'll go to buttons, and then just drag and drop a button that you like or customize it to make it look pretty or to make it go with your site. I already had this on here, so I didn't have to add anything else. Since we will be working with Wix Code, make sure that you are, for right now, in the Wix Code beta testing group. To do that, go to wix.com/code/home and then sign up if you have not signed up already. After you do sign up and you are approved, which usually takes about a day or so, you will go to the toolbar, to the tool menu up here, and then go down to Developer Tools. Click on that to activate it, and this will activate all of the tools that we need for the Wix Code stuff that we're going to be doing. I'll have those links down below as well. Let's go to the article really quickly. This is the article, and this one is titled How to Create Member Profile Pages with Wix Code. You don't need to read all this other stuff. They do assume that you already know how to create a form, which I will go over really quickly. How to create a form, how to create a database, stuff. So we will do it as quickly as possible so that way we can make this function work. In this article, it has all these really nice fancy words. They show you a preview of what their page looks like and what each element is called and what it's labeled. So it's up here. So this section shows you the connection type that the submit button has, and after they click submit, it'll take them to the dynamic page that they have created. And this is what it looks like for the form that they created, so the person can actually fill in their info. Up here is what it looks like after it's already filled in and displayed somewhere else on your site. I know it's a little confusing, which is why I'm making you this video, so you can be a little bit, well, I guess less unconfused. Let's get to the good stuff. Okay, so the buttons, let's start here. You have two buttons, and what we need to do is we need to add all this code. I will have all this code on a separate sheet of paper, and I'll add the link to that document. Not sheet of paper. It's definitely digital. I'll have it online for you so you can click on that link and you can just basically copy and paste. I'm going to copy the first part of the code. Since this is going to have my buttons, at the very bottom of the page you should see some arrows. Look for the open arrow and kind of bring it up. You can delete all this because you don't need it. Or if you have other code already in there, just add an extra row and then add it underneath. Don't delete any existing code in case you have some other fancy stuff going on this page. Already copied the first part. Gonna copy the second part. Put it right underneath that code. You will see a bunch of errors and a lot of little triangles because nothing is configured yet. We have to edit this information. Basically, almost anything that is in a different color of font will have to be edited. Some of it, not all of it. Just that's when you copy and paste it, the editor will automatically put those in a different color just so you can identify it a little bit easier, which they're also in a different color here. And this last part. Now that I have all the parts of the code that I need, actually there's one more part after that. I will add the fourth part. I will explain to you what all of this is in just a bit. Okay, so that's all there. This other arrow here, it's to maximize. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. That way I can read this a little bit better. So what we have going on here is the little first part is going to be retrieving information from basically Wix. So it's going to look into the Wix users, it's going to look into the Wix data, and it's going to look or connect to Wix location, which is like a page. So here it says when a current user is logged in, a button that we have on there, the label will change to the word log out because the code will automatically determine if they're logged in or not. And If they are logged in, it'll also show the profile button. It'll appear to them because it'll be hidden from everybody else. That way nobody else accesses that page. So this happens when the user is logged in. Or else, if they're not logged in, the label of the button will say login, so that way they can click on it and it'll take them to the actual login screen. And the profile button will be hidden. It says the word hide. So all of these we need to change to represent the actual name or the little label of our buttons. So let's do that. So the login button is button 3 for me. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to type in button 3. So that right now it says log in, but when they are logged in, it'll actually say log out. It'll change the label for us, so you don't have to manually type it in. And then the other button, which is the profile button, it's this one. My button is called hashtag button 4. So I'm going to change that right here. Button 4. And then I'm going to copy the same ones because those same buttons will have those conditions. If they're logged in, it'll say log out. If they're logged out, it'll say log in. Simple, right? Okay, so we already got those. Now let's keep going down. So apparently, our login button has to have something happen on click. That means I'm going to activate the on click event. So here is my login button. This is a little properties. Let me see. Let me move myself out of the way. This is a little properties panel. If you do not see the little properties panel, or if you accidentally X'd it out and made it go away, go back to the tool menu, go down to properties and make sure this little check mark is checked off. So once you select the login button, this properties panel will come up. How do you know that it's for the correct element? Because it has the name up here as well. Hashtag button 3, button 3. That's the ID name. So on here, I want to activate an on-click event. So I'm going to go down to the events that are listed here, and I'm going to find the one that says on-click. Next to it, there'll be a little plus sign. Click on the little plus sign. Make sure your button says, whatever your button name is, underscore on click. You can click enter on your keyboard and it'll save this to that button. If it accidentally adds some extra code at the very bottom, delete it. Won't let me delete. Because now I'm going up again. We're actually just going to use this code that we copied and pasted here. We're just going to change it to match what we wrote over there. So button 3 underscore on click. So login is the login button. We're going to change the name of the button. Button 3. And then the other one is called button 4, my profile button. So I'm going to change that. Once I change the names of the labels of the actual buttons, then the names that I have here, all the little errors start going away. You won't see those little red marks and stuff. If you still see yellow triangles, if you click on it, it says the parameter event is never used. All it means is apparently these little words or letters mean nothing to the code and it doesn't do anything. So as soon as you delete it, the code is happy again and that little triangle goes away. We're still going down because we need to finish the rest of our code. We just need to make sure that all the labels are correctly, because if one of them is wrong, the whole thing is wrong. So we keep going. It says something about a user ID, a user email. Apparently it's going to check all that stuff to make sure that it matches somebody inside of the database. You don't need to change the thing, those little blue words that say mode and login. Don't change that. Keep going down where it says user email equals email, and then the other line after that it says return wixdata.query, and then it has like a little quotation because that's something else. This is members. Well, This word members is what the Wix Code article named their database. So I have yet to create the database. We need to create that right now. So whatever we name the database, that name will be here. If you named your database profile, type in profile. If you named it profile with a capital P, make sure you type it in profile with a capital P. If it's a lowercase, then type it in as a lowercase. Everything is case sensitive, and you need to be careful when you're typing it in, because one wrong letter will basically cause the whole thing not to work. If you don't have a database, go to the left panel. It should say site structure, and you'll see like a drop down of all your pages, all your light boxes, everything that you got going on. You can open or close them with these little arrows, so that way you can find the one that says database. If you don't see this panel on the left side, there's an arrow at the bottom of your page next to the code. Right here, you click on it and it opens and closes that area. So make sure you find this panel. I'm going to click on Add New Collection, but you can also click on the little plus sign next to Database to add a new database. So we're going to create a new database for our members. Assuming that you haven't created a database, follow along. If not, skip over this part and go to the next part of the code. If you have created a database and you just want to make sure that you selected the correct settings and all that stuff, then stick around. Don't fast forward. Let's click on Start Creating. We're going to give it a name. Remember, we said we were going to name it Profile. So I'm going to name it Profile. Before you click Create, make sure that you spell it correctly, first of all, and that this is the name that you want to give it. Because right now, when you create a new database, even if it's just a test database, there's no way to delete it. Maybe later on in the future that'll be released, but they're still working on it. Remember, right now, Wix Code is still in beta testing, so they're, adding new things, figuring out other things, and updating it every single day. So make sure it's spelled correctly. Notice how I did a capital P, Profile. What is this database for? Well, I'm going to use it as a form submission. So for now, I'm going to select this, and then I'll go back and check the settings in just a bit. Let's create collection. Once it creates it, it's going to load up this really nice area, and you're going to see here at the very top a little plus sign, so you can add a whole bunch of fields. The fields will basically be little columns. Those columns will represent the field inside of your form that you're going to use to capture that information that your member is actually going to use to create their profile. So let's make it a really simple form, really simple profile. Let's kind of copy this. I'm not going to use the drop downs though. Let's just use maybe their name, email, phone number, and a small message. So we'll do those 4 things. I'm going to click plus here. If you want to know more about this stuff, watch the other videos. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I'm just going to do what's needed for this form. So the first one is going to be name. I'm going to title it name. Field key is going to stay the same. You cannot change it after you create this. Make sure it's spelled correctly. And the field type is just a text. So I'm going to click add. And then email, add, phone, add. Notice I'm not changing anything. And I'll just put message and add. So I already have my 4 different types of fields that I'm going to be using for my form. So now that my database is created with the fields I'm going to be using, I can close this out. See, my picture's always in the way. There's a little X over here. You can exit out and it'll take you right back to where you were. Maximize. And Wix data query, profile. That's what I named my database. So that's what goes in there. And if you keep going down, Wix data, insert members, insert to the collection. You need to change it again over here. It's a little bit further down. and then update buttons accordingly. The login button, my button was called button 3. It'll change it to log out, and the other profile button is button 4, and that's it. Once they click on the profile button, it'll take them to a specific page. Well, this has to be a dynamic page. So this code, the way it's written, it assumes that the dynamic page is called whatever your domain is, /members/ and then the ID number of that person. So we're going to do that right now. We're actually going to create the dynamic page. And since it is going to perform that function on click, we need to prepare that button as well. On click, this is going to happen. So profile button, let me minimize that. Preparing it to do the on-click event. You still have your properties panel open. If not, again, go back to the tools, click on properties, and activate that panel so you can see this. And you're going to go down to the events for that profile button. On click, you're going to hover on top, click add. Make sure it says on click, button 4 _ on click. All I'm doing is pressing enter on my keyword to add it. It added some extra code because it didn't find this anywhere written down there. But that's fine because I'm going to delete it. You know what? I'm just going to copy the name of the button and replace it with the one in the code because I don't feel like typing. Okay, so now that I've typed it in, the code is still there. I fixed the name of my button. Now it says button 4 _ on click, and when that happens, they're going to be sent off to the dynamic page that has the form in it. So let's go do that. There's a couple ways that you can do this. You can either click on add new page, and then you can convert that page to a dynamic page, or you can hover on top of your database where it says profile, click on the settings, and then right there in the settings it'll say add a dynamic page. So I'm just going to do that. I'm already there. So I'm going to add a dynamic page, and now I have to label it. It's a good thing I can still see the code right there at the very bottom. The bottom it says members/ and then the Wix user ID. So I'm going to click on start creating, and it's going to ask you what type of dynamic page it'll be. Well, it won't be a category page because we're making a profile, like a member profile kind of website. So it'll be a single item, a single person. Make sure you select the one at the top, item page, click next. And this is where you set up the URL. Now right now the URL says profile / and then a title. Profile is the name of your database. You can leave that as is. And the title, well, we won't be using the title. We'll actually be using the ID for that person, because every single person that signs up in your database and they create something, it actually gives them a special ID. It creates an ID that is unique to that person only. And in the article, it talks about this ID. And because this is the way that we're going to add the URL, and because the function of this one page will be so that they can update and either view or update the information that's already on their profile, we will have to set the permissions to read and write. So we need to consider that when we're forming this. Now, since I'm trying to get the ID, see here how it says ID, they called it members update ID. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave the name of my database there. It says profile /, I'm going to put update, capital U, /, and then I'm going to click on add a field. I want it to add a field that exists inside of my database. And here's a drop down of all the fields that exist in my database right now and that are available for me to add to the URL. I'm going to click on ID. Then I'm going to click create. I changed the URL to profile /update. Let me go back to my home page or to my login page. And at the very bottom of the code, right here it says members /ID. Well, mine doesn't, my dynamic page is not called members /ID. It's called capital P profile /capital U with update. /ID. So all I did was add that in front of the slash $, and then Wix users ID. So that's updated. Over here, you'll see under dynamic pages, the one that you updated or created, profile update. So from here, it's a blank page. From here, we basically just do the regular steps of creating a form. You click add, go to user input elements, and drag and drop the user input elements that you need. For this tutorial, we only need 4. We're going to collect 4 pieces of information, and we'll add a button. Since I added message, I'm going to go back and find a bigger text box. User input and text box. Check out what user elements there are over there. I'm not going to worry about design right now. I just want to connect this whole thing for you. Add, and we're going to add a button. Without the button, they can't save, right? So let's add this button. Okay. We have those. If you notice, when you click on the dynamic page option to create it, it automatically added a data set. This data set was created so that way it links back to the database. If you don't know what a data set is, watch the other videos so you can get familiar with this little piece of glue that makes everything connect together. If you click on it, it'll have the name dynamic data set. If you click on manage, you want to make sure that the settings for the data set are set correctly, because this page, we want it to be able to read and write, because we're going to allow them to see information and overwrite it to save it again. So this one, doesn't matter what the name is, profile item, that's totally fine. The mode is going to be read and write, and I'm going to exit it out, and that'll save it. So now that I know that my dynamic page is set for read and write, now I need to see who can read and write it. So I'm going to go to my database, hover on top of the profile, and then go over to the little settings, little gadget thingy, click on edit permissions. I just want to double check to make sure who can edit my information. So right now it says who can read it, only the admin can, so that's not good, because if we go and test it right now and we're not an admin of the site, we won't be able to see anything. It'll give us an error. So I'm going to change that. I'm going to pretend that this website is going to be, only a person can edit their profile, but there's going to be another database that's public and people can search through that database to find that one person, or maybe that business. So I'm going to change it to anyone. Anyone can read the database information. Who can create it? We're going to do members only because we have a login, right? And if we don't have a login, then anybody can fill out the form. So then our login code and procedure is kind of pointless. So make sure it's set to a site member. So once you set it to created by a site member, you actually need to add yourself as a site member. You need to follow the whole steps and add yourself and approve yourself as a site member before you can test it. Or else, again, it'll give you an error and it won't do anything. Who can update the content? The site member author. Remember, this is a member profile page, so the person that created it is the only one that can update it. Obviously, an admin can edit it from the back end. They can go in, override, whatever. But this is saying who are you going to allow on these pages to manually update the info? The author, the site member that actually created it in the first place. And who can delete the content? For right now, we'll just leave it as admin. If you want the site member author to delete it as well, then you're just going to have to add an extra button and add the delete function to that button, so that way they can delete their profile completely. But we'll just leave it like that for now. We'll put save. So now I know my page is all set with the correct permissions to allow them to read and write. And my database is all set with the correct permissions to allow them to create and edit and show content basically where it needs to be shown. Excuse me. So Now let's connect the elements. The name will be connected to, click on this little database button if you've never done it before. That's how you connect it. This will show you that it's connected to profile item, this data set right there. And it'll give you a list, the drop-down list of all the items that are actually inside of your database, the fields that you created. So I'm going to go to name. Exit out. It'll turn green as soon as it connects. That means it's a valid connection. I'm going to connect the next one to email. The next one, phone number. And then the last element, I'm going to create it to connect it to the message. Notice how all of them say add your name, add your name, add your name. Well, that can be edited here. Set input type, settings, click on that. And this is where you check if you want to show something or nothing, any text, any initial text. I'm going to put a placeholder text, which means it's just going to be a mess. It'll show it there if anything inside of that element is blank. If there's nothing in there, it'll always show this message. Placeholder text, so your name. And here you can check off if it's required or not. For right now, I'm not going to put required on any of them. The second one, your email. Did we do email? I think so. Take off the required, close it out. Your phone number. To do your notes. I don't know, maybe this is a website that allows you to write down notes of things that you need to do. So I've already added all of that. And then this little button needs to be connected to the database as well. The label can be connected to anything inside the database if you want it to, or we can just create our own label right now, which we will. So I'm going to skip that. I'm going to link it to submit. And after it submits, I don't have an extra page, so we'll just, let me see, have it link to the home page, I guess. That page is fine. You can create a different connection. Get creative. That's all I can say, get creative. So the label I'm going to put here is update or save update. I guess that's okay, right? Now, make sure that when you change the text and add the name, it's going to ask you again, where does this link to? Don't connect it through here. We've already connected it through the database because it's going to do something specifically, for the database. This other way is just a regular button performs that way. Remember, we just got it from the section of the regular buttons. And if you were adding a regular button and you wanted to link it to an email or something else, that's where you would do it. If you connect anything here and something is already connected to your database, these will kind of clash and nothing will happen. It'll break it. So don't do that. Okay, so now that we've created the form, I'm going to click save. Okay, so this is done. We have our login button. We have our logout button. Once they log in, it'll send them off to that dynamic page. That dynamic page will collect information, and that's it. So let's publish. Let's view the site. I'll give you the link in a bit. Well, I guess you should already have the link because if you read the video description, it'll be there. Okay, so here it is. Here's the page. Notice how the other button is gone? Well, because I'm not logged in. So let's go ahead and try to log in. It'll say, don't have an account, sign up. Well, I guess I'm going to have to sign up. So for this one, I'm going to put test@gmail.com. And password is 123 test and 123 test. Why am I telling you this? You can go in there and test it out if you want to. I'm going to click go. Eventually I'll just delete it anyway. Okay, so I'm already logged in. The reason that it logged me in automatically and did not say, hey, thanks for signing up, an admin will, they'll check your membership and approve and you'll receive a confirmation email. Well, because I didn't set up those permissions. So if you want to set up the member permissions, make sure to do that. If you want it auto approved or if you want to manually approve. Now that I'm logged in, the other button is visible. And then this is now a log out button. So let's go to my profile. And look at that. It sent me to the member page. So now I am able to type in these little elements in these little boxes. So let's do that. Maybe I should have changed the design because I can't read anything. Okay, well, I already typed in my name. Test. Look at that. It already has my email in there. I really cannot see, so I'll just put whatever numbers. And then, hello, this was a test. I'm going to save an update, and remember, I don't have an extra page. It should send us back to the login screen. So we're back to the login screen. I'm going to click on my profile. And there's all my information saved. Let me click Save and Update. But let's log out. Let's create another member. Sign up. Test2 at gmail.com. And 123 test2. 123 test2. So now I'm creating a new user. Now I'm logged in. I click on my profile. It'll send me to the same dynamic page. Remember, we only built one, and now it's blank because I'm logged in as somebody else. So it already detected that somebody else is using this database. And hello world. Look, it already has my email, test2@gmail.com. 956-884-4949. I'm going to put my phone over here too. For Wix. That is my number. Yes, that is my real number. 956-884-4Wix. So I'm going to click Save and Update, and it should take me to the main login. Since I'm still logged in as test2, if I click on my profile, it'll take me to my test2 information. Isn't that so cool? Save and update. Let's go to test1. Logging out. Logging back in. And test@gmail.com. 123 test. I'm going to click go. My profile. This page can have anything you want. I just did it nice and simple the way the article had it. And look, Nayeli, test@gmail. Hello, this was a test. See? Oh my God, this is so amazing. Do you know how much time it'll save you to do a dynamic page? Do you know how cool you will look and how totally advanced and super fancy your website is going to be if you have a unique login page that can do this? Does anybody else see dollar signs? Yes. So now you know how to create your own login. Now you know how to have this, this whole fancy article. Now you know exactly what it's telling you, what it means. Go back and read it. Read all the good information, has really, really good stuff. Get creative with what you do. Just because their login page and my login page had two tiny buttons, maybe you don't want just this. Maybe you're going to have a whole bunch of other information on there, some good info or ads or whatever. Get creative. Practice over and over. If you have a question, post it in the comments, or try to find us on Facebook. We're there. But If you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up. It'll help others find it too. And click subscribe because a whole bunch of really awesome videos will be coming soon, and I promise they will be just as easy. And a side note, I am taking applications for Code Class 2. If you don't know what that is, check the Wix community channel, check out the videos. I will have live students teaching them, giving them homework, going over different Wix code things, and it's a lot of fun. So if you want to be one of those, go read up on what is required. I'll have the link down below. There's a few things that you need to know before you qualify to be in the class, and I will interview you to see if you are a good fit for that. Code Queen Nayeli. See you later. Bye.